Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about the fact that there are very few useless exercises, but there are a lot of bad applications of exercises or exercises that certain individuals should probably never be doing. Now, when I say there are no useless exercises, or very few, I think we could throw above the knee rack pulls in there. A bit of a joke, throwback to me making fun of that a lot. But realistically, that's not even a completely useless exercise. It's an exercise that can cause you a lot of problems if you do it too much. But does it have a good application? Well, no, it's not good for building max strength. No, it's not good for improving your deadlift lockouts. Okay? It's not good for that. It sucks at that. How many people out there you saw who could do 800-pound above the knee rack pulls? You can't even deadlift 500 pounds yet. It's clearly not carrying over. The only time I think the exercise is useless is when you do straps. Okay, it's incorrect application. What's the real application of an above the knee rack pull? It's a good grip training tool. I think particularly done with a double overhand. Well, that's not bad. It's a grip training tool. It's actually a pretty decent one. Of course, we could argue that you need the recovery from the axial loading in order to do it, and there may be better options there. But even then, that's not completely useless. But people do have this idea that, well, this exercise is pointless, this curl or this whatever. Now, I think a lot of times when we say that an exercise is useless, it's the variations that people are doing. I think a lot of times when people try to use strength training for stability, that's a problem. Meaning squatting on a Bosu ball. Probably useless. Probably useless. Why? Because you're taking a strength training exercise and making it dangerous and so ineffective that you're not getting any of the strength of the muscle from it because you're doing that. Okay, you're trying to stabilize on a Bosu ball. Maybe you should just do some stabilization work and just, if you need this stuff for some reason, do it. But there's better ways to create stabilization. I mean, look at the goblet squat right there. I've got Michelle doing. She's using like a 90-pound dumbbell, okay, which is crazy good for that exercise for a woman. That's crazy good. That's an exercise that actually create a lot of stability. Why? Because it's pulling you forward. It's very difficult to stay upright on those. It forces you to engage the core a lot more. It forces you to use a lighter weight to do it, so it's easier on recovery. It's amazing for hip mobility because the amount of depth and stuff that you can get on those. Okay, it's a great tool. I used to think it was kind of a fluff exercise, back when I used to have that sort of mindset. I've been doing this a really long time, guys. I've been doing this a long time. And, I've certainly had some bad dogmatic views, and I think a lot of people out there do. I think it's normal for us to go through those phases, even if you've been training over a decade, even if you've been coaching for years. It's often a case of going through those situations. And I think with a lot of that, it's inexperience and not being able to look at what it brings to the table. Would I say a goblet squat is a great primary exercise? Probably not. Is it a phenomenal secondary exercise for a lot of advanced lifters? You bet. Can it help with things like knee tendonitis? I found that it can. Can it help with hip mobility and squat depth? I find that it can. Hey, is it a good builder of the lower body with a great stimulus to fatigue for people who don't have certain other equipments like belt squats and things? I think it is. Okay. Could it be a good primary exercise for a novice lifter who can't squat correctly yet? Yeah. And I agree with Dan John. Dan John used it for that a lot. I think that's a great use of the exercise. Would I use it to try to develop maximum strength as a primary exercise for someone outside of that demographic list? No, that would be a bad application. Hey, just like trying to use an above the knee rack pull to build your deadlift lockout's a bad application. Why? Well, because it just beats you the hell up. The axial loading is extreme, and it doesn't even use the same muscles that the lockout does on a deadlift. Right? When we're struggling to lock on a deadlift, it's usually posterior chain glutes, right? When you see people doing those above the knee rack pulls, what are they doing? They're usually squatting it up. They're bending the knees and squatting it up. It does not look anything like a deadlift lockout if they start above the knee. They don't hinge at all. So they're not getting the hinge component. Okay? So that's a bit of a problem. It's an incorrect application. Incorrect application. Do I think using dumbbells for 1 rep maxes or really, really low reps is a good idea? No, probably not. That would be an incorrect application. It doesn't make dumbbell exercises useless. Dumbbells are phenomenal as accessory work. They're phenomenal for hypertrophy, right? Flat dumbbell presses or any incline, decline dumbbell presses or whatever for your chest. Fantastic movements. They have a great stimulus to fatigue. They work the muscle through the lengthened position, oftentimes more than a barbell. They can bring a lot to the table. Barbell is going to bring a hell of a lot more for training maximum strength. But we combine these things together anyways, right? We use these different tools in our toolbox, sometimes even inside the same training week. Okay? Depends on what we're trying to do. Because we should be doing those things. We should be all focusing on max strength. I've done videos on that, including general population. We should be focusing on hypertrophy and gaining muscle. We should be focusing on our GPP and conditioning. These are all different tools for it. You know, same thing. I would say people who are trying to get conditioned using Olympic lifts, that's silly. It's absurd. I know CrossFit tries to do it. It's a bad idea. Are they great for developing speed strength and coordination? Yeah, they are. They are pretty good for that, if you can perform them correctly. Okay. So really, here's what we're concerned with. We're concerned with misapplication of exercises rather than them being useless. You know, they may be useless towards a specific goal you're trying to work on. Okay, there might be certain rep ranges or modalities that an exercise is bad at. You know, dips, for example, just like a lot of the dumbbell work for very low reps. And I'm aware that there's some fringe sports that max on the weighted dip. I think that's a really bad idea. Bench press is a hell of a lot safer. You know, so in that case, the actual sports testing is a really bad application of the exercise, you know, from an injury perspective. But the point here is that none of these exercises are useless exercises. None of them are bad none of them are bad exercises. They're just bad applications of a perfectly good exercise. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.